Hey friends, it's Rosalind. Welcome back to our gardens and our tiny farm. Today is a day that I have long been looking forward to sharing with all of you. We have made progress on the greenhouse. It has warmed up this week and we've had our first glimmers of spring weather. So we were able to get out and put the plexiglass on the sides of the greenhouse. So we are going out there and checking on that progress together. We are going to be checking on the ranunculus that we planted together. Was it like 5 weeks ago? It was in the middle of January, so like 4 or 5 weeks ago, because those have put on a little bit of growth already. But first, before we do any of that, we are going to be looking at some seeds that just arrived because they are going along with the whimsical, old-fashioned, romantic look that we are going for in the cottage gardens. These seeds just arrived from Eden Brothers, and I immediately had to share them with you because they're so pretty. So the first one, this one is going out by the greenhouse. I had seen this growing in front of someone's greenhouse in a container up an obelisk. They had placed an obelisk in the container and had these growing up them. They are called purple bellvine. They kind of remind me of like a double columbine flower, except they're on a vine, and they are the sweetest kind of whimsical, romantic bloom. So can't wait to get this one started and grow it in front of the greenhouse. We have some English peas that we are going to be growing in the garden or in the vegetable garden. I'm not sure if I want to do this in raised beds or just in the big plot that we have as a vegetable garden. Peas are a cool season crop, so we are going to be planting them probably either late March or early April. The next one is Iceland poppies, champagne bubbles mix. I've never grown this variety before, but I guess they're supposed to be very good for cut flower growth. So we're going to be planting these out in the new border that we created. I think it was early February when we started creating this border. And I just want it completely filled with cut flowers out there. But poppies have like this kind of papery bloom to them, and they're so pretty in a vase, even though their vase life might not be as long as some other flowers. So hopefully we have time to get these planted out into the border today yet. Now this one is a very old herb, marshmallow. We are going to experiment with it. I did plant these out into winter sown milk jugs. As soon as the seeds arrived, I immediately planted it because I guess these do need cold stratification of at least 8 weeks. And our last frost date is usually the 1st of May, and we are at the last week of February. So hopefully we can get these to sprout. We'll see, we'll experiment together. If they do sprout, we are going to be planting this one into the herb garden. Basil is one that I will grow not only to use in our foods, but also in cut flower arrangements. And this is a new one to me. It's called cardinal basil seeds. And you can see in the picture that they have like these very pretty kind of red, cardinal red plumes to them. And it's supposed to have a very wonderful scent to them as well. So we are going to be growing this in the herb garden to use in cut flower arrangements and also to add a little extra taste to some of our foods. Now this one I also did plant right away in winter sown jugs as soon as the seeds arrived because they do need cold stratification. These are strawberry seeds. They're called berry basket Ruby Ann strawberry. So they're supposed to be very good to grow in containers or in hanging baskets. We are going to be planting them into hanging baskets. Maybe we'll have them in the greenhouse or hanging on the outside of the greenhouse. This one will be very fun to experiment with. China asters, I mean, look at that bloom. This is Duchess Rose White, and it's kind of like a peony bloom in China asters. This is a new one from Eden Brothers, but we are going to be growing it together this year and hopefully get some gorgeous blooms from it to use in cut flower arrangements. This is another new one. Already have the seeds planted out in winter sown jugs again. It's called Twinny Apple Blossom Snapdragons. And these do stay shorter. I believe they only grow 12 inches tall, but they like growing in the cooler weather of spring. This one will be very fun to grow and to use in cut flower arrangements, but also just maybe to have like in planters or in container arrangements. Okay, since we have looked at the new seeds that just arrived to go along with our theme that we have in the gardens this year, let's head out and check on the ranunculus that are starting to sprout, and then we will head out to the greenhouse. I've had the ranunculus sitting out here on the covered porch where they get a bit of protection from the coldest air, but they do get sunshine. And they're sitting out here with the lisianthus that we had planted into milk jugs, as well as some pansies. Do you remember when we planted the pansies? They're doing so good. Not all of them sprouted, but some of the seeds were 2 years old, so I wasn't sure how they would sprout, but they're doing great. Now the ranunculus, some of them are a little further along. You can see this one has just a couple of sprouts, but there is, if you dig in a little bit, there is a lot of green underneath. And then this one, about half of them have sprouted. This tray is doing so good, but they're all doing I'm very pleased with how they're turning out. I wasn't totally sure how these ranunculus would do because most of them are from last year's garden. We dug them up last summer. If you were here, then you might remember when we dug them up and stored them in the garage until winter. And then we started pre-sprouting them again, but they are doing so well. They're looking a little dry, so I think we're going to water them. But the plan is, so I had told you that we are going to be potting them up and then growing them on until mid-March. But I changed my plan a little bit. So what I do plan on doing is, just since these trays they're between 2 and 3 inches tall, I'm going to grow them in here for another 2 weeks. And then we are just going to plant them out into the raised beds in front of the greenhouse. One of the raised beds is completely filled with tulip bulbs. It has 350 tulip bulbs. So the other 2 raised beds are going to be dedicated to the ranunculus. And what we are going to do is, on a day that it is above freezing, we're going to be planting the ranunculus out there. Then we're going to cover them in thick frost cloth, as well as maybe some of the leftover plexiglass from the greenhouse. And then on days that it warms up, we'll just uncover them again, and we'll continue doing that until probably towards the end of April, when the weather is a little bit more safe for the ranunculus. Now we are expecting some very cold temperatures this weekend again. It's supposed to go down to like 15 degrees Fahrenheit at night. So I will definitely be putting these ranunculus back into the garage, especially at night, and maybe even during the day if the temperatures don't go much above 25 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll just keep them in a garage window. But let's now head out and take a peek at the greenhouse. Go inside, Maxie. There is still a lot to do in this greenhouse and in the borders around it, but it is so exciting. Can you see the plexiglass on the sides of it? It is looking like a greenhouse finally, and I couldn't resist. Had to immediately move this table out here. This is a table that my husband built to arrange flowers on. So for now, it's going out here in the center of the greenhouse, and we have to step inside. First, I'll give you a peek at the plexiglass. So that's what it sounds like. It resembles glass, it looks like glass, but it won't break like glass would. So if we step inside, we still need to hang 2 panels back here, but we did run out of these screws last night. So hopefully we can get that finished tonight. But it actually feels warm in here with the sun shining in, and with 2 panels missing. We also don't have the doorway on here yet, but can you imagine how nice and warm it will be once everything is finished? Hopefully we can get it buttoned up by this weekend. And I would love to hear your opinion. So we will have kind of like a pathway coming in here. And I wasn't sure if we should do an arbor here because we do have one right there up against the fence, or should we do an arbor here as you walk in this pathway, because this will all be pea gravel. Should we do an arbor like right here, or should we do an arbor in each entrance of the pathway? I would love to hear what you guys would do. But I think one of my favorite parts about the greenhouse is, so if you walk in, you're having your coffee, let's say, you can see out back, watch the chickens, then there is the herb garden right over here. And then if we look out this way, you will be able to see all of the flowers in bloom. We do have antique double doors that we painted brown. Those will be going in the doorway. And I really, really hope that we can get those in here this weekend. Hopefully within the next few weeks, we can start decorating the greenhouse together. Wouldn't that be so fun? But let's go get those Iceland poppies planted. But first, do you guys remember all of those crocus bulbs that we planted into the orchard last fall? The first flowers have just started peeking through. We specifically planted them for our honeybees, but they are bringing such a bright spot to the grass right now. Since poppies do like cold stratification, I will normally get them planted early to middle part of January, but I did order these poppy seeds quite a bit late, so we're going to get them planted now since we're expecting quite a bit of cold over the next couple of days, and hopefully that will be all the cold stratification that these poppies will need. So we planted 1 row of the Iceland poppies right along here. I'm thinking that we'll backplant it with taller cut flowers. And once the Iceland poppies are done, we'll gather the seeds from them and maybe plant some zinnias along here. But I think it'll be very sweet too, if you turn this direction, you'll see the poppies and whatever else we're going to be planting in here. There's the chicken coop, and right behind it is the greenhouse. February is when I like to finish planting the garden to get all the seeds and bulbs ordered for spring and summer. I did forget to mention earlier when we were talking about the seeds that just arrived that we are going to be growing something together this year that I haven't grown in a couple of years, and it's gladiolas. The reason is because they are in the most gorgeous color that I've ever seen. They're coming from Eden Brothers. I'm guessing they'll arrive around April. I have to pop pictures up on the screen because goodness, the colors are so stunning. Now, Harley just said that we are going to finish hanging the doors on the greenhouse and put up those last 2 panels of plexiglass onto the greenhouse. So if we do that, I'm going to capture some footage and share it at the end of this video so you guys get to see the greenhouse pretty much being finished. I hope, friends, that you are experiencing a little bit of spring in your gardens. If you have anything peeking through the ground, I would love to hear about it. Have an amazing week. Thank you for joining me in the gardens today, and I will see you right back here real soon. Bye.